giving each other a hug, caring enough, not ridiculing in front of 500 of your peers, not getting promoted from captain to admiral. What happened to the Navy? The Navy ridicules and like makes fun of a 19-year-old kid and he ends up committing suicide. You're going to make fun of somebody because they're in a bad spot? That's not right. That's not the Navy I'm from. Own up to your mistakes and make them happen, make a change and fix them. That captain should have been freaking court-martialed by the admiral and thrown out of the Navy. Somebody should look all this up. Hicks Strong, Mike and Jolie Hicks. They're my friends. It's a mom and dad who lost their son, lost a wonderful soul, lost their kid. And I just say to everybody out there, just everybody makes mistakes, everybody does stuff. But that captain immediately, as soon as he did that in front of all those people and found out the kid started having some issues, should have gone down there with his division officer, everybody else, and then said something to the kid personally with his officers and the chiefs and said, you know what, son, I made a mistake. I didn't know. Yeah. How can we make this right? And then in front of all 500 people, the people he said it all to, should have made a point. Says, you know what, I made a mistake the other day, and here's a young seaman, and we're going to make sure this is taken care of. We're going to fix this, and I was wrong. And I will take my punishment, whatever it is. I'm going to lose my ship. I will lose that. I am in trouble because I made fun of that kid in front of everybody. I did the wrong thing. Then we'd have, he'd be here still.
I would imagine that sort of behavior happens a lot in the military, especially like the Marines and the SEALs.
We're strong, we're tough, we're yelling at each other.
Right.
I woke up at 2 a.m. this morning and did 1,000 push-ups. What'd you do? You suck. You're weak. I hate that attitude. Man, I don't care what time you wake up in the morning and how many push-ups you can do. Even David Goggins, the guy's a freaking monster. But you know what comes down to it? Not everybody has the ability to do 1,000 pull-ups. But if you can do 100, man, rock on if that's what you can do. I'm proud of you. But I'm never going to make fun of you because you can do 1,000, you can do 100, you can only do 10. It's your capabilities, your strength and weakness. You're still on a team. You just might not be the quarterback. You might not be the lineman. Hey, how about a defensive end? Let's try you there. There's a spot for you on a team. But those people that just like, they do that macho, making fun, ridicule. You're going to ridicule me to make me better? No, man, that doesn't make me better. How about a hug? How about a hug, man?
It speaks volumes coming from someone like you, because you, a dominating and alpha personality that you were, and the stuff that you went through is beyond masculine and macho. Like,
okay, but wait, hold on. You're saying alpha and macho. Define alpha.
When I'm talking about alpha and macho, obviously they're two different things. But when I say alpha, I'm referring to a trait to where you're someone who is a dominating force and someone who is looked up to by many different people who are obviously going in the same direction, and they look up to that person, and that person is a strong example for them.
Okay, so when you talk about domination, you talk about alpha, we're talking about like lions, you're talking about the animal kingdom, you're talking about strength.
It's a primal thing.
And we talk about alpha and macho, sometimes that has nothing to do with like how many push-ups you can do.
Right.
No, you woke up at 3 a.m. and did 100 push-ups. I don't care, dude.
Right.
When was the last time you helped somebody? When was the last time you did something good for somebody? When was the last time you actually had compassion and said, hey, man, I was walking past this person, man, and I saw that they were sleeping in their car, and I was just like, dude, I'm in a hurry, but you know what? Knock on the window of the car, and then they'll put the window down, and they're scared because they think they're gonna get beat up or something bad's gonna happen, and all you do is just slip in a $20 bill.
I think what I'm getting at,
I like alpha compassion. Is there a way to be alpha compassion? Is that the Dalai Lama? Is that Gandhi?
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to get at, I think the point I'm trying to explore is the fact that you've been through the peak of what someone would think of alpha or macho. That's who, I mean, it's who you are. It's a life that you lived, right?
But I want to redefine alpha to be alpha, Gandhi's alpha compassion, to make them at the same equal playing field. That if you're that dude, if you're David Goggins, who freaking love the guy, he's awesome, he's amazing, and he is an alpha, like competitive and like he's a monster. He's also like his mentality. He's just like he goes.
Yeah.
But he should be at the same level as far as alpha measurement as I have a friend of mine, Mary, who's just this amazing spiritual leader, but she weighs like 90 pounds and she could probably do 10 push-ups. But shouldn't they be equals? Because there's
Yeah,
one that's an alpha domination of one whole thing, and it's one thing, and you want to look at them the same, but nobody will ever look at them the same. Nobody
you
will
have
put her on a talk show.
you have a very unique perspective, and I think that you're able to look at it that way. Do you think that a lot of people with that mentality, that think that that's how you need to be, or people raising their kids saying you need to be a man, you need to be tough, you need to play football, do you think that comes from insecurity, that may not be there? Maybe I'm insecure, or I'm not confident that I am manly, so I need to really project this image.
Maybe, I mean, that's 100% possible. It's probably totally true. But the thing is when we're thinking about that, you got to be tough. Well, I want to say you got to be tough when they're sitting there with their book and they're reading the chapter to do a report on, to just finish the chapter. They only read halfway through it and they want to go outside and play. No, you got to be mentally tough. You got to be tough. Just keep reading. Well, you didn't read it. Let's read it again. That's toughness. That's like an intellectual toughness. You know, the extra reading assignments during the summertime that you just want to play and have fun, but you need to get through these 10 books during the summer, every summer. Read 10 books every summer if you're in school. Get your list. You're going to read those because you're mentally tough. You're like macho. What's the intellectual machoism? Don't just measure it by how much you can run and jump and do push-ups and pull-ups. We need to start measuring the mental toughness at the same level as we do how many push-ups you can do. Or that you can go in a UFC cage and beat the crap out of somebody. You can go in a UFC cage and beat the crap out of somebody. Yeah, you're really tough. But look at, Alan Turing. That guy's way tougher than any UFC fighter I've ever known in my life. UFC me. Alan Turing was the toughest man alive.
Who was that?
Mentally and everything else. He's the guy that invented the computers in the 1940s during World War II.
Oh, okay.
He killed himself. He killed himself because he ridiculed us. Killed himself because he got set up and he made to fail. He was set up for failure. The guy who invented modern day computing. You got to read the story.
Why did he kill himself?
Turing. He was made to take drugs to chemically castrate him because he thought he was a deviant. He invented all modern day computing. It all came from one person. Alan Turing wasn't an alien. It was a man.
Did you know that's what Nikola Tesla did?
Yeah, he was also a big part of that. So he's also one of them. Tesla was a huge part of that. But when you start thinking about computing in ones and zeros, and the way the whole thing happens, it really came to fruition under Alan Turing. That was when he started doing the switches and basically the transistors, the NPTs, the NPNs or NTNs. The whole thing, when it switches because of electrical change in a circuit, it switches here or switches there. It's on or off. That was basically Turing. It was pre-transistor transistors.
That's interesting.
All computing is based on ones and zeros.
Right.
That was a Turing machine. It was a magic machine.
Real quick, back.
Tesla didn't do that.
No, yeah, he was way different. But I believe Tesla, he intentionally castrated himself so he could accomplish his goals and what he was trying to do in his life, and that he thought were more important than his sexuality.
Was that to diminish the animal instinct of sexuality?
Yeah, exactly.
Instinct?
Because he felt it was a distraction. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about mental toughness. In your documentary, you were comparing what it took for you to run through caves screaming with an assault rifle versus what it was like to tell your friends and your fellow comrades you felt like you were a woman, like coming out, like explain the difference in the courage it took to do that versus the courage it took to be in combat. Let
me put it this way. So this has been me my whole life. I've just never been able to express it. But in my mind, in my soul, this is me. This is the way God created me. You might not believe that, but I know because this is how I felt my whole life. And it came from when I was like, before I even had thought. So it's not something that was invented or is environmental or anything else. This is the life I was given by God. And this is how it works. This is life. Life is very diverse in so many ways that people don't even know yet. Like we barely understand the DNA chain and chromosomes, and we've barely scratched the surface of who we are as human beings. So we're going to define it and say, no, it's only one or the other. That's naive. There's like 1,000 levels between all of that, between male and female. There's 1,000 million combinations.
Mm-hmm.
So who can say it's only black or white? It's this or that. It's male or female. It's not. So there's gray. There's a lot of gray between all that. And I knew that at a very young age because I am.
You were dealing with it.
So here's how I tell you to compare it to. Have you ever been scuba diving?
All the time. I grew up scuba diving.
Okay, so anyone else that did a scuba dive is going to totally get this. So imagine you're living your entire life underwater with a scuba bottle on and a regular in your mouth. So when you're scuba diving and you're thinking about your breathing, you have to always think about how you're breathing. You always think about where the regulator is. If the regulator comes out, I'm in trouble. Got to get back in. You always think about the level of air in your tank. You're thinking about your depth. You're thinking about all of it. At all times, your survival is critical upon everything with the apparatus to breathe. That's transgender. So my entire life from when I was born until February 28th, 2012, I was underwater on breathing apparatus, totally afraid for my life at every second, for every word I said, every action, everything I did. On February 28th of 2012, I said, the heck with it. And I came above water. I dropped my scuba tank. I dropped it all off and I started living and not worrying about anything. That's how it is to come out. Because now I don't need to worry about anything because I'm above water now. I'm not worried about how I breathe, how I act, what I say, what I wear. I'm not worried about anything anymore like I was underwater. That's what it feels like.
That's a beautiful analogy.
That's how you should think about it. So for everyone that yourself, you're not transgender, I don't know, but you're living your life, you've always been above water. So for you to look at me and I finally come out of the water and I go, holy cow, this is so amazing. You look at me and go, what are you talking about? Because you never knew what it was like to be underwater. You never had to worry about every word, every action, how you dressed, what you did. You never had to worry about your survival depending on your life. And now that you're above water, now you start to get ridiculed because now you're above water. And I go, no, it feels better for me. And then you're going to point at me and you go, well, yeah, but you look weird. You're not doing it right. You don't look right like everybody else. And I say, how do you know what it's like to live underwater? How do I know what it's like to live above water my whole life? I don't. So you have to think about it totally differently. And can't you respect the fact that now I'm living and I feel better? Can't you say, well, I didn't know what it's like to live underwater and you're happier now, it appears. So yeah, right on, man. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job for you not to worry about every second of your life.